The diner smelled of fried bacon, hot coffee, and fresh bread rolls. But for one small boy standing quietly near the door, the scent wasn't comfort. It was torture. His name was Daniel, a thin 12-year-old with hollow cheeks and eyes that carried more weight than a child's ever should. His sneakers were torn, his t-shirt hung loose on his fragile frame, and his stomach growled so loud he pressed his hands against it, embarrassed. He had been walking the streets for hours, hoping someone would take pity on him if he asked politely for something to eat. But not everyone believed in kindness. The manager of the diner, a man named Vincent, spotted Daniel lingering by the counter. Vincent didn't see a hungry child. He saw what he thought was a nuisance, a stray, a problem that didn't belong in his family-friendly establishment. The boy whispered something about being hungry, about whether there was leftover bread he could have. Vincent's face twisted in irritation, and in front of customers sipping coffee, he barked out cruel words. He grabbed Daniel by the shoulder and shoved him out the door like he was trash, yelling for him to stay away. Daniel stumbled onto the hot pavement outside, his face burning with humiliation, his eyes stinging with tears. He tried to hold back. That moment was pure heartbreak. A child, hungry and rejected, watching through the window as plates of pancakes and omelets were carried to tables while he had nothing. He didn't cry out loud. He just lowered his head, slid down the side of the diner wall, and pulled his knees to his chest, too tired to even keep moving. If you believe no child should ever go hungry, if you believe in second chances and simple acts of compassion, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Together, we can remind the world that kindness matters more than judgment. Minutes after dawn, Niel was shoved out. The low rumble of engines filled the street. One by one, heavy motorcycles pulled up, their chrome glinting under the noon sun. Jackets patched with skulls, wings, and fire flashed as the riders parked. Locals turned their heads, whispering nervously. The Hell's Angels had arrived. A group of 10 men, bearded, leather-clad with tattoos running down their arms, dismounted and started toward the diner. Their presence carried an intensity that made Vincent instantly straighten his posture. Daniel lifted his head at the sound of boots hitting the sidewalk. For a moment, fear struck him too. He'd heard stories about bikers being dangerous, wild, intimidating. But what caught his eye wasn't their size or the chains on their vests. It was how one of them, a tall man with silver hair under his helmet, noticed him sitting by the wall. The biker paused, squatted down, and tilted his head. His name was Marcus. His eyes softened when he saw the boy's cracked lips and trembling hands. Daniel quickly tried to wipe his tears, embarrassed to look weak in front of someone so strong. Marcus didn't say anything right away. He just stood, motioned to the others, and walked into the diner with his crew. The heavy glass door swung open, the bells jingling sharply, and every set of eyes inside turned toward the group as they filled the room. Vincent plastered on a fake smile, already nervous. He hurried forward, asking how many seats they needed, his tone suddenly respectful. The bikers pointed to the largest booth near the window, the very one Daniel had been staring at longingly before he was thrown out. They slid in, leather creaking against the seats, and the diner grew quieter than usual. Vincent handed out menus, forcing a smile, but as he turned, Marcus's gravelly voice stopped him. "Hey, that kid outside, why is he sitting on the sidewalk?" The question wasn't casual. It was sharp, deliberate. Everyone in the diner perked up to listen. Vincent stuttered, saying something about the boy being a beggar, about how he couldn't have someone like that inside disturbing his paying customers. He laughed nervously, hoping to move on. But the laughter died when Marcus leaned forward, his tattooed fists resting on the table. The other bikers stared silently, their expressions unreadable. Then Marcus said, "Bring him in. Feed him on our tab." His voice carried authority that left no room for argument. Vincent hesitated, his pride fighting his fear. But when another biker, Jackson, stood up slowly, towering over him, Vincent swallowed his objection and walked to the door. He waved Daniel in, his face tight with forced politeness. Daniel stepped inside cautiously, the warmth of the diner washing over him again. His eyes darted nervously to the tables, unsure why he was allowed in now, until Marcus motioned him over. The boy sat down at the edge of their booth, almost too afraid to breathe. Then something beautiful happened. The waitress brought pancakes, eggs, sausage, and a tall glass of milk. More food than Daniel had seen in days. At first, he just stared, his hands trembling as he picked up the fork. He whispered a quiet thank you, then began to eat. Slowly at first, then faster, as his hunger overtook him. The bikers didn't tease, didn't laugh. They simply watched with quiet respect, some nodding, some smiling faintly. Marcus lit a cigarette, exhaled and said, "Kid, eat as much as you want. Today, you sit with us." In that moment, Daniel wasn't a hungry boy anymore. He wasn't an outcast. He was part of something. Vincent stood behind the counter, fuming in silence, his pride crushed. Customers in the diner, who had once ignored Daniel, now whispered with guilt, realizing they too had done nothing when the child was thrown out. The atmosphere had shifted. A lesson was being written right there in daylight with plates of food and leather jackets as its ink. By the time Daniel's plate was empty, tears welled up in his eyes again. But this time, they weren't from shame. They were from gratitude. Marcus placed a $20 bill on the table and told the waitress to keep it. Then he looked at Daniel and said, "Kid, remember this. Don't let the world tell you you're worth nothing. You hear me? You matter." Daniel nodded, his throat too tight to speak. Those words would stay with him forever. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Let's spread stories that prove compassion is stronger than cruelty.